All right, outdoorsmen, we are here at the White Pass, getting ready to continue going up and over the White Pass into Yukon Territory, Canada. The gold miners use this area to go from Skagway into the gold fields, and unbelievable that the Mounted Police of Canada decided they needed to have 2,000 pounds of equipment, food and other supplies to cross over. So as you can see, using this area to move 2,000 pounds at a time was quite a task. So it was a difficult go, but they managed.
So that was the summit, 3,292 feet. The international border is just right around these rocks. This sign on the left says, "Welcome to Alaska." We will stop there on the way back when we come back, because it's on the other side of the road. This sign here on the right says U.S.-Canadian border. And this is the actual border. However, we're not going to go through customs for a little bit farther. On the left, International Falls, named because we're here at the international border. Yep, we are now in Canada.
Feels different. All right, outdoorsmen. Beautiful little bit of scenery here. Starting a little rivulet. This is a glacial moraine where the glacier dug out this immense valley at one point. So quite interesting to see. We are on June 21st, the longest day of the year, and you can still see it's very heavily snow covered up in the mountain, a little higher up.
And so there's really no way to escape that 80-mile-an-hour wind, 120 kilometer an hour wind. And even though this is Canada today, the US-Canadian border is still farther ahead. I'll show you where they actually met the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties, and got their supplies weighed. And so they look at the 1,000 pounds of food that they have, but they can't eat it. It's just tormenting them. Why can't they eat it? Because if they're short at the border, the Mounties won't let them in. Who's checking that? Well, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police at the international border have scales, and they are there checking all of your supplies and weighing everything. So the list includes, a couple hundred pounds of flour, a certain amount of pounds of bacon, dried onions, potatoes, things like that. The poor angel of the White Pass did not have her reputation in Seattle like she did in Skagway, so she didn't get the funeral she deserved. But Jack Newman heard about this tragedy and wanted for generations to come people to know of the kindness and charity of Molly Walsh and how she fed the miners on the trail. So he contacted a local artist to create an iron bust of Molly Walsh, and Miss Molly stands in Skagway on 6th Street at the Molly Walsh Park. It's a children's playground, and you can go and see her there to this day. It's a true story. It's a sad ending, but it just goes to show that life is not fair. Anyone told you life's fair, they're lying. Life is beautiful, though. We are up here enjoying this beautiful scenery. This is Lake Touchai. That was the Touchai River back at the bridge. It flows into this lake called Lake Touchai. So this lake is now called Lake Bernard. Summit Lake was all the way back where we took our picture. This is Lake Bernard. How do they differentiate between the two? I don't know. They've got a lot of land. Not everyone lives where there's land, of course. So I believe it. Another fun fact about Canada and the United States is the green ink that's used in U.S. currency was invented by a Canadian man in Canada. And I don't know why the U.S. hasn't taken to using Canadians' type of currency, but we should, because their currency is kind of like a plastic paper thing, and it doesn't rip as easily as U.S. currency. Not that U.S. currency rips really easy. Anyways, the train tracks are still there to the right, and yes, the train used to go there as well in years past before COVID. The train would go all the way to Lake Bennett.
Isn't he cute?
Who's got food?
Yeah, really. You got me?
Is he gone?
Oh,
No, he's still looking.
He's hiding. Yeah, he's hiding. Oh, he looks like, but he's gonna watch. He's not very big.
Where's Mama?
Actually, there are two there. They're a little closer.
Yeah.
Today we were able to get into the Yukon Territory as well as British Columbia. In the distance is the Yukon, and behind us is British Columbia.
Gee. Is there something? We're past it now. You gotta be quicker. You gotta be quicker than that. Come on. Come on, pal. I will focus on the road. You focus on the trees. Was it close to the road or far out? It was pretty far away. Yeah, probably far away. That's why I didn't see it, because I'm looking at the road. Yeah. So this is Log Cabin. This is where Molly Walsh, the angel of the White Pass, would come up here and set up a soup kitchen and feed the miners. Because when she heard about the poor, unfortunate miners that were forced to eat the dead horse meat on the trail, she wanted to do that. Is Log Cabin. That's where the Mounties are checking your supplies. A stone's throw away from the log cabin is where the angel of the White Pass, Molly Walsh, set up a soup kitchen, fed the miners a home-cooked meal.
This is Lake Bennett, and you could build a boat here and then travel 500 more miles north to get to the gold fields, and that's what many miners did, but they'd have had a hard time because, as you can see, there aren't many trees along the shore here, so it was quite an adventure, I'm sure.
That's a black bear with a brown coat. Yep.
The other one's eating.
Yeah, it's a black bear with a long snout. It doesn't have a hump on its back. A long snout, like a black bear. The grizzly bears or a brown bear will have a hump on its back and a more flat face. So that's a black bear. He's just going right for those dandelions.
Dandelions, I know. Too cute. I can eat as I walk.
Yeah.
You could take a lot in this boat. Look how furry it is.
I know.
I know.
He's a good person.
People all over the world to come and ride their bikes, or we'll have different caravans of RVs, or you name it. Even bikers, on their motorcycles will come and ride this Klondike Scenic Highway into Skagway. And I can't remember what time of year. I think it's mid-July. There's actually it's like a marathon relay thing. It starts in Skagway all the way to Whitehorse. A little over 100 miles, I believe. And it's coming up here, and they run this road. So in the summertime, you're not going to be able to see those lights. Town of Whitehorse, the capital of the Yukon Territory, where I think 90% of the population of the Yukon live in Whitehorse. And Whitehorse is a town. I wouldn't say it's beautiful, but it's a place. It's a place. They do, however, have a Walmart, a Superstore, Tim Hortons, all the kind of worldly things that Skagway does not have. Skagway is so small that it does not have a Walmart. It doesn't have a movie theater.
All right, outdoorsmen, we are at another stop here. And as you can see, I just started the bus. A beautiful lake with towering mountains behind us. Really makes you feel small when you consider the grandeur we are experiencing. All right, outdoorsmen, just kind of a little bit of a wrap up to our time on the Chilkoot Pass. The scenery was really, really cool. Seeing how ice, wind, and water were able to carve out those mountains was something that will not easily be forgotten. I can't believe how difficult it was I can only imagine how difficult it was for people with no mechanical support to be able to get up and over that Chilkoot Pass, and needing to have a ton of supplies with them. And then finally, it was so interesting that we were in the middle of nowhere and the bus stopped and the Canadian Royal Mounted Police boarded and checked everyone's passport to make sure that we were truly legally entering Canada. So it was a very, very interesting part of our trip, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Until next time, get outdoors.